This is Jack, and it's still just Jack again. For those who haven't heard from yesterday's pod, Nick has viral meningitis and was hospitalized. I talked to him yesterday, though, and he was in amazing spirits. For 15 minutes, he and I were catching up with each other and chuckling about Seinfeld episodes. It was amazing to hear his voice. They decided to keep him at the hospital for one more day, but he's in good hands and is getting the meds he needs. I just ordered his favorite chicken soup to be delivered to the hospital from his favorite restaurant. And here's some amazing news that I was thrilled about. His sister is flying in to help take care of Nick's son, Maxie. As you know, Nick's wife, Molly, is pregnant. So Katie flying in is just an MVP performance. Shout out to her. Also, Nick told me he was so grateful for the hundreds of comments you all left for him yesterday. We are both overwhelmed with appreciation for how much you care about us and for the relationship we have. I mean, this is more than just podcast or listener. This is something different. And thank you for showing us that yesterday. So today, we're going to publish an episode from the Demoted podcast that Nick and I were interviewed on this spring. You've probably seen Corporate Natalie on your socials. She satirizes office culture as well as that bachelorette weekend that she's still probably recovering from. And you've seen Corporate Bro too. His name is Ross Pomerantz. This man invented the funniest acronym of all time. You ready for this? Sadness. Sales are dope. Never, ever stop selling. Sadness. That actually turned into a movie, by the way. We interviewed them last year and they interviewed us. Clearly, we're huge fans. And in this episode of the Demoted podcast, we talk about how to use AI in the workplace. We go full Econ 101 on how tariffs actually work, both literally and through analogy. And we also share Nick's and my origin story, which includes near firings of both of us. And that boyfriend that Natalie mentions in this episode, it's now her fiance. Congrats to her. So when you're done listening, follow the Demoted podcast and Natalie and Ross on social. We put all their links and handles right here in the show notes. Nick is extremely funny in this episode, by the way. I just finished listening to it, and man, do I miss that guy. All right, let's hit the show.
This week on the pod, we have the host of The Best One Yet.
What is a tariff? What does it do?
What's a tariff?
Everyone's talking about tariffs. What even is a tariff?
How does it impact me, and should I stop buying coffees?
We're bringing on two of the smartest minds in news, tech, and pop culture.
They're the host of the T-Boy podcast, The Best One Yet.
And they're going to teach us all how to future-proof your career.
Demoted. Now, a quick word from our sponsors.
What's up, Motorheads? It's good to have you all here. We're back in the stewed, back in the bean bags. We got guests today.
We do.
We got some of the best guests yet.
Precisely. If you haven't listened to the Best One Yet podcast, why don't you pause this right now and go do it?
Go do it. Every single day, they are bringing you 20 minutes of the 3 most important news stories that you need to know.
Nick and Jack are what Ross and I aspire to be.
Yes.
In podcasting. They release a daily episode. We were joking at the end of the podcast that they're their own LLM. They take in all sources of information from news, finance, pop culture, tech news. Bring it all into the 3 headlines you should know every single day.
Yeah. A lot of people are so overwhelmed about what publications, what sources should I read? Hey, just go listen to these guys. They got you covered.
We wanted to bring them on specifically to talk about future-proofing your career. Everything we're seeing in our Dear Demoteds, our corporate confessions, is this kind of fear of AI, tariffs, the economy, the recession, what's happening, and what should I look out for as a working professional.
And as we mentioned, these 2 guys are very smart, and they're given that they are reading the news, they are consuming all this information every single day. They're some of the most well-equipped to answer these questions.
We're recording on April 29th, so a lot could change in the next 2 weeks before this is released. But we're hoping to talk about looking ahead in your next year, your next 5 years of your career even. What should you be doing?
Yeah, and using some of the stories that these guys have researched in the past to inform their decisions and our decisions. So with that, let's welcome Nick and Jack from T-Boy to Demoted.
Nick and Jack, we're so happy to have you here. And Nick, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our sunrise kayak together in Hawaii.
I mean, it was the vacation of vacations, wasn't it, Natalie?
What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, did you guys just see each other on the beach like one day or what?
There was
yes.
It was. I was with my boyfriend's family doing a sunrise kayak, and they were like, "We need another solo to hop in our our kayak, Nick's hand shoots up from the sand. I'm like,
I'm
where
that
did he
man.
come from?
Who is this man in a red Speedo?
He jumps in the front of the boat right next to my boyfriend's dad. They're yapping it up the whole time. It was a beautiful sunrise that we shared together.
It was literally 5 a.m.
It
on
was.
Hawaii. And I was, at the time, my wife and our baby were sleeping. And I was like, I'm going to go do something existential right now.
Yes.
And then I end up in the party boat at 5 a.m.
Oh,
with
God,
your
Natalie's
entire
here.
boyfriend's family.
Natalie's drinking, of course.
For
No,
those
I
who
am
can't
somewhere.
picture this, season 1 of White Lotus. It happened in
Exactly.
season 1.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was the vibe we were going
Yeah,
for.
it was definitely a whodunit vibe. You know, someone was overboard at one point on the kayak as the sun was rising.
I'm sure you wanted just a moment, like a break away from this world, podcasting, certainly me, but we
Nick-
all jumped in the boat together. So that's good.
Nick strikes me as the guy who you bring around your parents because parents just love him.
Oh, they were obsessed.
Just eating it up, just
We were
right
having
out of his
great
hand.
convo with Matt's parents. Oh
Matt's
my
one
God.
of 3 boys. It's now 4. Nick's
no,
one of
4, I
them
was
too.
gonna
I think I was like high-fiving him in the gym the next day.
Yeah,
Matt's dad.
everyone
I
ripped
was
their
like, "Do you
tarps
need-
off,
do you need
jumped
a
in.
spot?"
Yeah.
Of course.
Anyway,
Pedigree is perfect for parents.
it's good to see you with your shirt on, Nick. And
Jack just had his 3rd kid, so there's that.
Jack, give us your
Third-
personal
third
update.
kid, right?
3rd kid.
Oh boy, yeah. Just look at Ross's videos about not getting sleep, and that's me times 3.
I don't know how you do it.
Boy. No, I'm just kidding. We got Wilder at the top. He's 4. Brooks is 2. Oakley is 0. So
Oakley's 0.
3 under 4. Is that how it goes?
Terrifying
Oakley is
to
0
me.
years old. I'm rounding down. He's 8 weeks old at this
Hey,
point.
can I also just give Jack a shout out for what he's pulling off right now?
That's what I'm saying.
It was his first son, aka the pod son's birthday the other day. Jack and Alex didn't just throw a dinosaur themed Easter egg hunt for this thing. No. Jack bought a wedding cake themed like dinosaurs, 3 tiers
No.
that he brought to the birthday party.
It was
And
anti-recession indicator. The fact that everybody
Yeah, what tariffs?
Birthday
Tariff a cake, I dare you.
there were some IP issues with Jurassic Park, but Jack said, what the heck? We'll let the lawyers deal with that.
Yeah.
And he got the most epic cake I've ever seen outside of 2 people getting married.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
wow.
gosh. I cannot wait to spoil my kids.
And here I am talking to Beck. I'm like, do we really need to do a first birthday? I mean, he's like 2 weeks old, but like who's going to remember that? You
Ross
know?
is Michael Scott in the office being like, let's just celebrate all 3 of ours together. Like, we don't need to do individual
I mean, at
ones.
this point, I'm an
It's
efficiency
additive.
guy.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I'll do it. I mean, he's 2 weeks. I still have some time. He's 2 weeks old.
He's only 2 weeks old. Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats, Ross.
Yeah.
I
He's
held-
just like, goo, goo, gaga. And I'm like, dude, what do you get a job? Please.
Get a job. I
Contribute.
contribute.
I need
Like,
more.
all you do is poop and
I'm
eat.
lecturing him while I'm changing his diaper. It's just,
It's a whole thing. But okay, we have you guys on the pod for a reason. We gave your intros before you joined, but can you give us an intro on the best one yet?
Who the hell are you guys?
Origin story. Who are you guys? How'd you meet? Just give us your kind of elevator pitch, dare I say.
Well, the best one yet, T-Boy, is the daily business show that we call Pop Biz, the mix of pop culture and business that makes you the most interesting, well-read, fascinating person in whatever room you're in, whether it's a boardroom or whether it's brunch. Because every day, Jack and I curate the 3 most fascinating stories in the business world with our takeaways from years and years of studying business, finance, and everything in between.
It's 2 best friends talking about business, finance, and economics, but it does go back to freshman year. Nick and I were randomly selected as freshman year roommates. Absolutely wild
Wow.
how that changed both of our lives. After 4 years of college, we became roommates again in New York City, lived in a 4-person apartment. It was our wild early 20s. And both of us quickly discovered that our desk jobs in finance were not what we had been romanticizing in our
What?
heads.
weren't fascinating.
What do
Wall
you
Street,
mean?
New York, big city.
So fulfilling.
Yeah, the number crunching wasn't cool. I actually worked at a German investment bank, which had the benefit of like very generous vacation and like no expectation of 80-hour work weeks, which was really nice.
But the negative of 0 fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Nick and I started a side hustle when we were like 23 years old, and fast
secret.
forward 13 years, and we're still doing that side hustle together today.
Well, really what we started doing was we started writing a daily newsletter in secret outside of our day jobs. At the risk of being fired, we just said, what the heck, we're going to do it. We grew that from a newsletter into a podcast. That was called Market Snacks. We then sold it during this wild summer when we were in business school to Robinhood, the stock trading app, which was trying to build out a media arm. So Jack and I flew out to California, uncertain if we were going to do an acquisition deal. We end up signing a deal and end up becoming a part of Robinhood, the stock trading company, for 3 years, where you probably got to know our podcast as Snacks Daily. And then after being through Robinhood during their wildest craze ever, during the meme coins and all that craziness, Jack and I spun off the show, kept our podcast audience, and full-time went into podcasting with our show, The Best One Yet, and this incredible community of Yetis and besties, as we call them, who love getting business news in a really interesting way. They love hearing Jack and I talk about how Netflix's earnings report reminds us of a Rihanna song from 10 years ago, and they're using the same strategy as the Spice Girls over at Netflix.
So since 2018, we've done 1,500 episodes of our daily podcast.
Natalie and I complain about doing like one
We've
every
done like
3 weeks.
10. We're exhausted.
You got 3 kids. You're doing one every single day.
You really are the experts, and that's why we wanted to bring you on. I think the theme of this podcast is future-proofing your career.
Yes.
We want to use your knowledge on tariffs, the economy, everything that's going on in the world to inform what our listeners should do, how they should approach potential recession, what's happening, what's on the horizon.
Yeah, and just get your advice on how you see the world transitioning. Where are we headed? What would you guys do? You know, obviously you built something. It's funny you guys talk about building your newsletter in secret. Similarly, we were filming videos in secret, hoping nobody like eventually catches on, and they do.
Right.
You know, and it becomes a thing. But you know, you guys took a risk, and a lot of folks who listen to our pod are similarly asking themselves, do I want to stay in this corporate job? And you know, tumultuous, scary time right now. Everybody's been throwing around this word of tariffs. I think it's being just sort of it is the pop culture word that nobody knows what it means. Nobody knows what it's supposed to do. Nobody knows how it works. But no tariffs. How about these tariffs, huh? Oh, it's because
like
of the tariffs.
write-off.
Right.
People have no idea
exactly.
what it actually is.
What does that mean? So, I mean, I think that's where we want to start with you guys. You guys have talked about it in a recent episode.
Generally, U.S. government announcing wide-ranging tariffs, including high tariffs on Chinese goods, right? This is like the basics of what we know. I guess from you two, what the hell are tariffs?
Tariffs are sticking a bouncer at the door to the country and saying, I'm checking IDs and I'm charging fees based on where you come from. And you're basically having to pay a different cover charge depending on what state, but in this case, what country is on your ID.
Okay, fantastic analogy, Nick. Now I'm going to take it literal.
You got it.
U.S. Customs and Border Control. We encountered them when we're coming back. Nat, you encountered them when you were coming back from Cabo.
I did.
You needed to pass through them and get your passport stamped to enter the country. It is the same with stuff that's made in China. There's only so many ways to enter the country, like by land, by air, or by sea. And each one of them is highly controlled by Customs and Border Control. So instead of stamping a passport, when it comes to a Yeti cooler that's made in China, there's a giant container ship that has like 1,000 Yeti coolers. And to get into the United States, they say, what's in there? Show me your documentation. Where is it made? And when Yeti's like shipping guy says, we have coolers, they're made in China, they say, okay, what's the value of everything in there? And they say, let's say $1 million. Pay us a 145% tariff before you can enter. So that's $1.45 million of new costs for Yeti coolers,
Now,
which are going to find their way into the price that we buy them at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Wow.
the factories could pay some of it. The company Yeti could absorb some of it. But most often, because these tariffs are high, it ends up getting passed on to consumers in some way.
What is the true intent?
The intent is to give preferential treatment to stuff that's made in the USA.
Right.
So we're only charging this brand new tax on stuff that's made abroad. So in theory, tariffs are going to benefit companies that decide to make their products in the United States.
Is an interesting angle here too that Jack and I were just talking about on the show that that involves you, Ross, because tariffs also affect different industries in different ways. So cars, are affected because car parts come from all over the world. There are dozens of countries involved in making that Ford F-150. But when it comes to baby products, we are particularly vulnerable because 97% of strollers are actually made in China, which is an extremely high percentage. Nearly 100% of baby monitors made in China. So that's why, actually, in this first week of May, the price of the Uppa Baby stroller is going from $900 to $1,200 because of these tariffs.
Do you think my wife, being a Facebook marketplace merchant queen, should start charging tariffs? from different neighborhoods?
Yeah.
Because she
The
is out
only-
there grinding on Facebook Marketplace.
The only two things this trade war is good for is the American made cooler equivalent of a Yeti and Facebook Marketplace, because people are going to buy used stuff as a result of these crazy new fees that are
Right.
going to trickle down into the products that we buy.
Perhaps more of a nuanced question here, and it's not in the list of questions, but the U.S. export that we're talking about a lot of is software. And the intent here is also to bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S., which will take, in theory, a long period of time. And then we've got the robots that are probably going to take those jobs.
Yeah.
The bots.
I was going to say, how do you guys think about that? The intent from the administration is that, right? To bring manufacturing jobs back?
We covered this just the other day on our podcast. The driver of this trade war is our trade deficit. And the trade deficit is the fact that we import more from Canada and from China and from Mexico than they buy from us.
Right.
So we have a deficit. Like, they're producing more than we're producing when it comes to trade. But the problem is that trade deficit only talks about physical things.
Right.
To your point, Ross, if you're just looking at the trade deficit, you're ignoring all the stuff the United States is best at. And we are best at a lot of different things. Think about Hollywood. If you look at the top 25 highest box office movies of all time, 24 of them are American movies.
If
Are
you
they
look at
Marvel?
the biggest tech companies and the biggest
Bunch of them
products
are
being
Marvel.
used by everyone across the world and in Europe, these are American digital goods,
Right.
essentially.
We were looking at the Spotify Global 50 Top Songs playlist the other day. 36 of them were American artists. So when it comes to services, finance, technology, entertainment, the United States is the absolute leader of the world in all of these things.
Right.
But when we're talking about the trade war, we're ignoring all that. And we're just so focused on the one thing that we are comparatively bad at, which is manufacturing. And we're bad at manufacturing because we pay our people much higher wages.
And trickling down to kind of the consumer, the listeners of this podcast, how will tariffs impact our daily lives, our professional lives even? What should we look out for?
Really, really interesting example of this, Jack and I were just breaking down, which is Domino's pizza earnings, because this actually tells a really interesting tale. Domino's pizza, theoretically, should be tariff proof because that mozzarella, shocker, they're not importing that from Italy exactly.
Yeah.
They're getting that from here in the United States.
A plastic
Right.
factory, of course.
Basically, all of the ingredients that go into your Domino's, including the stores themselves, are American made. And yet, Domino's just told us in their earnings in the first week of May that they are suffering during the trade war because consumers are making decisions about their pizza choices, even though Domino's hasn't increased their prices.
They're
And
downgrading to frozen pizza.
Yeah.
And that gives
Really?
that's the big monster in the room, which is the chance of recession.
So
I mean,
they are downgrading to frozen pizza. They're not just saying, hey, I don't want to order in.
Well, Jack, you want to share your Costco research that you did? I believe
would-
you went into aisle 6 at Costco and were expensing some research.
Oh,
to
your
us.
boots on the
Cardholder
ground.
number
Tell
over
us
here.
more.
4-pack of Costco cheese pizzas, frozen, Kirkland brand, of course, $13.
Natural.
Domino's can't compete with that.
No.
So the long story short is everyone's predicting the country's going into a recession. And if these tariffs with China stay in place, it's an almost certainty, in our opinion, that we will go into a recession because we depend on them for so much of our stuff. And at the end of the day, tariffs are taxes. Politicians love to say they're going to cut taxes to grow the economy. Well, this is a new tax, so it's going to shrink the economy. And if that happens, consumers are going to have to deal with higher prices. They might get laid off. Companies are going to have to raise prices, which isn't good for those companies. Like, this isn't greedflation.
Right.
This is companies raising prices to pay for these new taxes that the U.S. Customs and Border Control is charging. Company stock prices are going to go down. Their profits are going to go down. They might have to do layoffs. It is a very bad story. The reason the United States has not used tariffs in a meaningful way for 100 years is because it was kind of an economic understanding that they are a bad policy.
The counterpoint to this is that people have shared this is a negotiating strategy.
Right.
And that the idea is to come up with a set of individual country by country deals that will result in better trade terms for the United States. And there are costs and benefits to going through all that. So we still have to see what those actually look like. But in the meantime, the direction things are heading in is exactly the direction Jack is describing.
Now,
Right.
on our pod just yesterday, we said, like, okay, if the goal of the administration is to bring back manufacturing to the United States, that is a worthy goal. Like, nobody disagrees that that is a good thing. But overnight making the products we get from China 145% more expensive. I mean, that is dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to potentially be empty shelves come Halloween because all of our Halloween costumes are made in China. All of our toys, all of our baby strollers, like Nick said, made in China. An alternative to, foreign policy by tweet and executive orders changing tariffs every day, Nick and I came up with the Made in America Act. Let's say you wanted to bring manufacturing back to the United States. The Made in America Act passed by Congress. It's permanent. It's not changing every day. Year 1, tariffs on China of 10%. Year 2, 20%. Year 3, 30%. Gradual, consistent, and give companies the clarity they need to, move their factory maybe from Malaysia to Minnesota.
Okay, so we are interviewing 2 future politicians.
Yeah, of course.
I'm obsessed. Love it. Welcome to the pod. Made in America Act. One thing I want to double click on, Jack, that you mentioned are potential layoffs and how we should approach our careers and our professional lives. We get a lot of questions on the pod. Is now a good time to switch my career? What would you answer to that?
I would say now is a good time to stay with your job if it's a solid job.
There's a third option here, Natalie, that Jack and I have been talking about, which is a new concept called nepopreneurship.
Okay.
This was our term for a phenomenon that's going on, but the number of young people in America who have taken a job with a relative's company, like a parent's company, their mom and dad's firm, basically, that number has doubled since 2018. The number who've done it in just the last year, it's up 13%. It's still a small portion of the overall population, but a really interesting direction people are going into if they want to switch careers, but they still want the security that they crave from their current job, is to join with their parents' company. And there's this other interesting phenomenon, which is we talked about the silver tsunami, boomers retiring in the next decade or so, and how they'll hand down, wealth, and there's going to be a transfer of investment assets. Well, one thing they're going to be handing down is the businesses that they run. And they'd probably rather have their kid running it maybe than someone random who they'd sell it to. So a third option here, and it's not open to everybody, but you could consider working for your mom and dad.
Knock on dad's door. See what he's up to.
Bring your resume to dad, sit him down, ask for that job. That's what they said. It's that easy, isn't
Ross,
it?
you got a baby boy. This, it could be the third host on
Natalie,
the show.
even before
It's true.
the risk of recessions came along, we covered a story in our pod about nepopreneurs. To Nick's point, the share of small businesses employing the child of the owner, in other words, like, the owner's son or the owner's daughter, has doubled since 2018. We did another story about this big boom in boring jobs. The idea is that entrepreneurs aren't pursuing SaaS cloud computing or, an artificial
unicorn disruptors
chatbot. Instead, they're pursuing an electrician job or a plumbing role.
By the local
Or
laundromat.
The trades.
Company.
Yeah, Jack and I joke. We have some buddies from business school who've bought up a bunch of funeral homes.
Yes. Everyone's rolling everything up.
Me looking at cash businesses online every day.
Med spas.
I mean, what
huge.
business is more reliable than funeral homes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The undercurrent
stay
of all
dying.
this is that even before the risk of a recession came along, it's been a tough job market, especially for new hires. For 2 years now, Zuckerberg started his year of efficiency. That's still rippling through Silicon Valley. You got artificial intelligence, which is causing anxiety. If you got a solid job, we say keep it. And keep in mind, it's not just tech jobs that are attractive. There's a serious boom in going back to the trades.
Such good advice, especially for people in Silicon Valley. We're all obsessed with the next tech boom, the wave.
Totally.
What can we do? It's maybe it's the funeral home down the street.
I mean, honestly, most innovative business we've probably seen in the last 2 weeks. Well, there's one we got to tell you about, the AI cheating company.
Oh,
that was a wild story.
I saw this. Yeah.
Please share.
Kid got kicked out of school for it.
The other one is these laundromats in Brooklyn that are nightclubs now. So
you said laundromats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So these young guys took over these laundromats in Brooklyn. By day, it's a very millennially nice, very smooth, typical laundromat. By night, they're serving buffalo wings. They've got a DJ come in and they've got this whole other source of revenue. And let me tell you, Jack and I were talking about, that's an AI-proof job right there.
It is.
Yeah,
Running a laundromat disco man.
And supply of DJs in New York City, very high.
Yes.
A lot of DJs ready to
You can
ready to
get some
work.
good price on DJs these days.
Can you talk about the cheating scandal?
Oh, this is good. Oh, this is really good. Jack, you want to share what these Columbia guys did?
Yeah. So about a month ago, the Columbia University, two students at Columbia University created an app on the side of, their English degree or whatever it was they were pursuing as an undergrad at Columbia. They started this AI app that was explicitly designed to help you cheat in school.
Cheat
And then they told
on school.
all their classmates about this app they created, which helps them cheat on everything.
Okay,
When it came to academics.
Spoiler, they got kicked out a month later.
They did.
Well, as if ChatGPT doesn't allow you to cheat enough.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So
is anyone
the-
writing a paper these days? Who's written
Here's
an
the
essay?
thing
I
about
don't think
this
anyone.
cheating app.
Prompting
It
the
was
paper.
specifically designed to help them get internship offers from all the tech companies. So they were looking for like a summer internship at Meta, at Amazon, at Microsoft. And they had these coding interviews where they had to share their screen with the interviewer. So this app called Cluey now, it's specifically invisible so that the person on the other side somehow can't see that you're using an AI chatbot. Meanwhile, the AI chatbot is listening and watching everything that's happening on the screen and giving you just the information you need at the right moment to crack the code. So these two freshmen at Columbia, they go on to LinkedIn and they go on to X bragging about these internship opportunities they got thanks to their cheating app.
Yep.
And then they get an email from the student disciplinary board saying, yeah, you're suspended. So what did the kids do, Nick?
They moved to Silicon Valley. They're here in San Francisco as
Raised
of a
some
month
money.
ago. They've already raised money.
Yeah.
They're doing $3 million in the first month on this AI cheating app, and they've expanded it to cheat on anything. So their recent use case, using this AI cheating app to cheat on a date, a first date.
Yep.
Wait.
A very slick.
I was as a joke going to say to cheat on your spouse. What do you mean cheat on your first date?
So here's how it goes down. Ross, have you seen the video?
I have not seen this video. No.
Okay, so in the video, the founder walks into a restaurant and he's wearing virtual reality glasses. So he's getting data as they're having this conversation over the meal. And the woman he's speaking with, as she's speaking, the cheating app is feeding him information through the glasses, which you can do now with a set of Meta
Yep.
Ray-Ban glasses, saying she likes flowers. Her birthday was this date. She majored in physics. Ask her about her favorite book that she posted about from last weekend. So he is just full on basically cheating the date by knowing all this information about him. But then that brought up like a really existential question Jack and I are wondering, which was, is this cheating or is this just an advantage?
So
it's like your
maybe
personal
in the
chief of
case-
staff.
Yeah, it's like Gary from Veep.
Yeah.
Kind of whispering you all the things you need to hear right in the moment.
But less creepy.
That was reminding
that's
me of
creepy.
when I was dating in San Francisco and guys would have watched all of my corporate Natalie videos before I met them. And they're a complete stranger to me. I'm terrified of them. And they're
I
like,
feel like I know you
they're
because
like,
of like your videos.
yeah, like I saw that video you did. Okay, who are you? You're
and they
terrifying.
wait to bring it up.
They wait till 2 glasses of wine. Now I'm trapped.
and you're like, oh,
That's the
shit.
perfect
Yeah.
time. That's the perfect time. Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think about the massive education gap that we're going to have as a result of this? Everybody's papers is going to read the same. Everybody's thoughts are going to be the same because they're all being fed the same stuff through this AI. I guess the AI can get better, but
Well, this is a creativity analogy Jack and I have used before, which is the iPhone, which is the iPhone camera revolutionized how we all became photographers. Like overnight, by having an iPhone, basically the entire population was capable of photography at a level that we never could have before. However, to this day, we still have professional photographers. People still pay millions of dollars for legendary photos. And if you're doing the photo shoot with your family, like on Hawaii, and you wanted to do one with Matt's family, Nat, you'd probably hire a pro photographer. So there is this element that like the average is being brought up by AI. But the question is the perfect, the highest quality, the curated, the tastemakers, that may still be protected because that's operating at a just different level that the AI isn't hitting.
Funny thing about this cheat on everything app, though, just to, they're getting kicked out of Columbia basically for cheating. And like they brand it cheating because that is a wild cutting to the chase,
Yeah.
marketing wise.
We clicked on it.
Like they're not branding their app as being able to boost your productivity. They're branding the app as helping you cheat, which
On anything.
has some appeal. But bear in mind, 40 years ago, using a calculator was considered cheating.
Right.
20 years after that, using automatic spell check was considered cheating. So what's considered cheating at one point just gets added into the rules and it's like actually okay now. And that's what we think it's important for everyone working a job right now to think. Like using AI don't consider it cheating.
yes.
You shouldn't lie. Like that kid was lying that, he was a marine biologist, didn't know anything about marine biology.
Right. It's like
on the
I'm
first
bilingual and then they say something in Spanish and you're like, ah, okay.
Yeah,
Working
don't do that.
proficiency.
But use artificial intelligence to make you better at the thing because soon it will not just like using a calculator today is not feeling like cheating, neither will using AI.
Yeah, until everyone's like, sorry, babe, I can't talk to you. I'll get my glasses on.
Oh,
Okay.
God. So scary.
Well, okay, so that's actually a really good segue. And so the CEO of Shopify recently said that he'll only hire more headcount if his team, quote, cannot get what they want to get done using AI. So how do you guys see the job market being affected by the proliferation of these AI agents now, which can do a ton of things? And what are the most valuable skills that you guys, see in humans in this age of AI?
Honestly, Jack, you want to share the takeaway we had from interviewing the Duolingo CEO?
We just interviewed Luis von Ahn on our show. He's the
he just came out with
co-founder
there was a huge article about
of Duolingo, and he came out with an article very similar to what you're saying happened at Shopify. He said that everyone at his company, they are a tech company, and so a lot of his engineers are concerned about AI. A lot of them ask them, "Is AI going to take my job?" And his answer to them, AI is not going to take your job, but somebody who uses AI well or better than you could take your job. So that's point number one. Point number two, he had this really funny story. It was kind of self-deprecating, so I'm going to use his words here.
Yeah.
Pretend I'm Luis von Ahn for a second. He said, math nerds 50 years ago, we had a hard time. We got shoved into lockers and we were kind of the brunt of the joke. But then the tech industry started booming and we had a really, really good run. And we started becoming CEOs and founding tech companies and becoming billionaires. And so math nerds had a really, really good 50-year stretch. I think with artificial intelligence, that run is coming to an end. His idea is that taste is going to be more important than ever in the age of artificial intelligence.
He specifically said artists will beat nerds in the age of AI.
Interesting.
And I'm ready to bully both. So,
No, we're kind of love it. It's a counterintuitive take, and it's contrary to everything you see out there. But in a basic level, you see this with AI's ability to do coding and kind of core engineering skills. But the limits on creating something totally new from scratch. And the example he gave was the Super Bowl commercial that Duolingo did, where there was an owl, the famous Duolingo owl, that had another owl come out of its butt. And then another owl appear out of that owl's butt. And it was increasing owls coming out of each owl's butt.
Genius.
Was it the Russian dolls, those dolls that you keep stacking up?
Yeah, exactly. And his point was, that's the kind of thing that ChatGPT isn't exactly coming up with. You need an artist to kind of come up with that.
I think he was also saying that a lot of quantitative work or sort of process-oriented work is just going to be purely commodified and ultimately automated by artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
and
their
we're
content at scale has to
here.
be automated. That's what they talk. He talked about that too, right? A lot of their work,
What was that, Ross?
their contractors, they're going to lose a lot of their contractors because they got to do content at scale in all these different languages. And something that AI can do really well is translate and sort of build curriculum around the things that they've already built. So maybe the engineers are okay, but I don't know. They're still.
We're curious what you guys are using AI for, because we're all podcasters here, and but we all have a process for creating the show, and it's so funny because a lot of listeners probably don't know how much work, and we know how much work you guys are putting into this show. You're hearing the episode today if you're a listener, but we know both of you and your entire teams have poured hours and days into preparing for this.
Right.
So how are you guys using it as part of this entertainment industry?
Not enough. I don't think the comedy has been fully matched, but the relatability is. I think even in the last 3 months, it's gotten better on prompting for script ideas and bits that we do outside of the pod, but more of our filmed content.
Yeah. I mean, it's great for idea generation, on a sort of micro level. You guys mentioned the taste making. It has no genius. AI has no genius to it. So that's what differentiates the content that goes crazy versus the ones that are just kind of fall flat, even if they are quote unquote relatable. You're not allowed to use AI. So I'm working on scripts for, TV. I can't use AI for that. I can't really go near that because if they find out or they can figure it out, then it's
because of the writer's strike. That
exactly.
And same with our branded content on socials. All the contracts include you cannot use AI to generate any of the concepts that you do in our branded content.
Right. But you may have a script and you're okay, I need a good example is I was trying to figure out what would be a good gift for a salesperson, right? That would be funny, right? And it just sort of listed out a few ideas. I just needed a super small kind of mini joke inside a much larger skit, and it gave me a bunch of good ideas. That was great. But it doesn't have the cleverness. It doesn't have the wit. It doesn't have the sarcasm
or the personal history that you guys pull from. Like Jack and I, we go back to freshman year. So like we pull from, we're like, wow, the analogy here for this economic trend is actually, honestly, it's like a Beirut game that we played when we were in college. And like, this strategy Jack would have. And we're like, that's a personal thing that like, you can't touch if you're coming through ChatGPT on.
Right.
True.
And you guys are talking about the creative side here.
It's interesting, Ross, that you ask ChatGPT, what gift should I get this client? Because I think that's the first step to harnessing the power of AI is just rewiring your muscle memory to stop thinking and stop Googling, even though that's what we've done for our entire professional careers is think and Google when we need to come up with ideas and find information. And instead, rewire yourself. Can I ask an AI chatbot to save me time here or to come up with better ideas or to just brainstorm so that I'm not starting with a clean slate?
Right. That's a clean slate thing.
Yeah. The best way to pick up a new habit, work with an existing habit. So, like when people want to give up alcohol, they typically don't go cold turkey because that's really hard. They typically replace it with something else. Maybe get a tea instead or, a ginger drink.
Right.
So you still are enjoying the habit, but it's just not alcohol. Same thing like Jack's saying. Like instead of Googling something, try ChatGPTing it and see how that's the same habit, but different use case. When we did that story on why the NBA should expand to other countries, like the whole NBA basketball business model, we needed to know like how many MVPs in the NBA were born outside the United States. Googling that, doesn't really give you an exact answer, but AI does. So like with research, that's how we've been using it the most.
It gets you over the blank, you mentioned the blank slate. Like that's the hardest thing for so many creatives. Just like, give me something to work with. Show me some clay.
And you're mentioning kind of rewiring those habits. I guess just more specifically, I want to ask about maybe some of these tools or just current things you can add. So the CEO of Uber said that most employees do not know how to properly leverage AI tools in their daily work. How can listeners start leveraging AI tools in their current work roles? And maybe it's just going from Google to ChatGPT, but any tools or recommendations you have?
Before we answer that question from Nat, a quick sponsor break.
How can listeners start leveraging AI tools in their current work roles?
Stop Googling, go to ChatGPT. Anyone I know who has sort of moved their page one of the internet from Google to ChatGPT says they're never going back. And it's just a total game changer for their internet experience. So I do think that's step one, because you're going to stop Googling and you're just going to start using artificial intelligence just by accident due to the nature of going to look for things on the internet.
Yeah. Any tools you've seen in emailing, these like general like presentations, things that every worker is doing?
Well, here's a risk to be careful about, which is that it's also, and Ross is kind of highlighting this earlier, there you can start to sense now what's got a little ChatGPT flavor.
Oh yeah.
Like Jack and you can suss out right now which emails with like the hyphen or like the 1-2 punch like are kind of using
I'm guilty.
format.
I use the hyphen all the time. And now
I know,
I'm offended
I was already
by
a
this.
hyphen
Like,
guy.
I'm a huge hyphen guy.
I feel like it plagiarized us, man.
Yeah.
But that is a key. And one art form, Jack and I think that is going to be developed more is prompting. And this kind of gets at the why artists may succeed well with AI, which is actually asking, and this is the difference with Google. With Google, you can just kind of like, you can have 12 typos in there and Google will just like show you the results. With ChatGPT, you do want to create and spend the time investing in the right prompt, which is a series of guidelines to get you to the right answer. And that prompt, that art of prompting, that's a skill we think you can improve on and get better at. And part of these prompts that Jack and I say will be like, we want this to, what are examples that are not expected from AI? What are things that are more outside the box? You can prompt AI to not sound like AI or not do things that are cliche AI-like.
The role prompt engineer, is that similar to what you're saying? What is a prompt engineer?
Yeah, similar concept of like being good at prompting.
Yeah.
And it is a skill, we think, just like learning how to write a cover letter was a skill before, or how to craft a thesis statement was a skill. Actually having the ability to write a thoughtful prompt with guidelines of, I want it to be colorful. I want it to mimic this style of writing. I don't want it to sound like AI wrote it.
Here's how you become a great prompt engineer. You act like a boss and you pretend you have an assistant and be like a really awful boss who's super anal about all the details.
Yeah.
So Wilder's 4th birthday party and the dinosaur themed Easter egg hunt that Nick mentioned, that idea came from ChatGPT. I said, I'm having a birthday party in April in Vermont. I want it to be outdoors. I don't know what the weather will be, but it's probably going to be wet and cold. Easter is the day after the birthday party. I don't want to get a bounce house because that's cliche for 4-year-old birthday parties.
No judgments though, Jack.
What activity can I do for the 40 people who have RSVP'd, 20 of whom are toddlers? They came up with that idea and like 6 other really good ideas. Act like you have an assistant. Act like you're Ari Gold. Remember Ari Gold?
Yeah,
His assistant
full Ari
who was
Gold.
unbelievably productive. And Ari Gold was like aggressively demanding of that assistant. I think that's how you become a great prompt engineer.
Yes.
Like demand absolute excellence and say all of your preferences and all of the things you need down to the final detail. And ChatGPT doesn't care about manners. They're going to produce a better product because you were such a stickler.
I mean, Sam Altman. Are you going to say the please and thank you?
Yes.
Yeah, they're losing like, tens of millions of dollars of people being polite.
Yeah.
Well, I saw this
You
video.
should be.
I saw this video that's like how we're cheating ChatGPT these days, and it's like now make it better. And the guy was pretending to be ChatGPT. He's like sweating. Like, please let me out.
And when the robots come for us, though, if you did drop the occasional please and thank you, I think they keep a record of that.
Yes, I do too. 100%.
Yeah, gotta be nice.
Yeah.
Gotta be nice.
Your behavior score is just being logged every second now. Should we shift on to our Dear Demoted? We had some folks write into us. And so I'm going to attempt to read this to you guys. We don't show this that often, but Natalie and I really struggle to read.
Yes.
So I'm going to read this anyway here. So, Dear Demoted and T-Boy, I was recently laid off from my tech startup job. They said the decision was due to the, quote, hesitancy of venture capital firms to invest in the market during economic uncertainty. Do you think this is a temporary measure, or could this be the start of a rough time to be in early stage tech? Would it be unwise to look for another job at a startup? Any insight would be very helpful. Thank you, guys.
So taking a job at a startup is always risky, just given the nature that most startups don't succeed. There's data out there that businesses that get formed, chances are in 5 years won't be there anymore. So startups are always risky. You're also probably not going to get paid as much at a startup as you would a big company, especially when you consider the benefits that a big company can offer you and the number of hours a startup demands of you. So that's like number one. Startups are always more risky. And you should only do so if the failure outcome, like the company going under or you not making it there, like can you handle that negative outcome? Like do you have some savings or something to fall back on if you lose your job? If you don't, maybe a startup is not the right move for you because that adverse scenario is just unacceptable. Like Ross, you have a kid now. I have 3 kids now. Once you get those kinds of family responsibilities, your risk tolerance just goes down a little bit. It's just like the nature of life. But
Depends on the going rate for a child. I don't know.
If all that sounds great to you, then with all that risk comes greater reward. So you get the upside at a startup of being promoted more quickly, of gaining responsibilities more quickly because there's so few people who work at the company. Maybe you get stock and equity in the company. If that company gets acquired or IPOs, that's how you could get rich someday. So,
and honestly, maybe you have some leverage now. Like as we're hearing this question, like I'm thinking, Jack, like, yeah, maybe people are averse to going to startups right now. And so maybe, the desire to need some people talent kind of works in your favor. And therefore, if you are pursuing a startup and they're having trouble hiring, it's an opportunity to ask for more. Like maybe this is when you ask for equity. We always say equity is exciting. There could be some leverage here if you are pursuing a startup when most people are not.
Yeah.
Equity is exciting and terrifying.
One thing I would add to that is also try to look at when they raised money. If they raised money 4-5 years ago now, chances are they're not going to achieve their valuation and are at much higher risk. Everybody's trying to fight to meet these valuations that were crazy just 5 years ago. If you've raised money very recently in the last year, they probably are going to go lower and slower and have be a little bit more conservative, burn a little slower. That's my hypothesis, at least with what VCs are telling companies to do now. So you might have a little more runway if you do choose to go there, they might be a little bit safer, but again, still highly risky.
Good advice. Your podcast kind of started as a side hustle. Our content started as a side hustle. Everyone's like, how do I make ends meet now? Should I get another job? What can I do? Do you have any advice on side hustling or how to find other sources of income in these uncertain times?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, create an LLC for yourself. If you're going to start side hustling, make sure you have created a business. because all of the expenses related to the work you did, whether it's your computer, your internet service, that is all part of the product that you're working on selling.
Great
So
advice.
if you're going to start a side hustle, that is a business. And if your business
Even just the thought of
has
starting
revenues,
a side hustle, you think? You don't like even just
If you're going to commit to some
deciding.
of it, you should do that.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? There's like a funny little bit of accountability. Like, you know, the theory that when you share something with someone, you're just more accountable because now there's like a little bit of reputational risk.
Yes.
Yep.
Mhm.
Almost similarly, like with the US government, if you file to create that LLC, like Jack's talking about, and you're going to get a notification from the government the next year saying that you owe a certain filing fee or something, you're going to feel like, you know what? I got to make this $400 worth it. I really should turn this into something.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
love it. It's good
Speaking
advice.
to
just
existence, you got
started-
to put it out there.
Yeah.
Accountability.
Now, we recently started a second show, actually, called The Best Idea Yet. We launched it last fall.
Mhm.
Instead of a daily podcast about news, this is a deep dive weekly podcast. So far, we've covered 40 of the most viral products of all time. And it's basically the untold origin stories of the products we're all obsessed with. So we did Super Mario Brothers. We did the Birkenstock sandal. We did the Ferrari. We did the Super Soaker. We did the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Here's a wild detail about all of those products. Just about all of them started during economic recessions.
Yes.
It is wild, but a
True.
recurring character
Interesting.
Yeah.
in our series, The Best Idea Yet, is that an economic downturn caused somebody to be in a tough situation, and with their back against the wall, they innovated and created something awesome.
People
We
get
basically say
creative.
recessions are the recurring character in all the shows. And then on top of that, to go even further to tie into Nat's question, so many of these products began as some kind of a side project. The Peeps candy, side project.
Should've stayed
Reese's
a
peanut
side
butter
project.
cups, invented by a frog salesman. They were a side project.
A
True story.
frog salesman?
Yeah, a frog. Like
You know when you like need a frog?
You know when you're
Yeah.
like in the market for a frog?
Yep.
Got
This is the
it.
guy you call. He was running a little peanut butter business on the side. The Super Soaker, NASA engineer,
Yeah.
side hustle at home, created a Super Soaker.
Wow.
So many incredible success stories of these that are all began during moments like this with side hustles like you're talking about.
So you're saying it's a great time to build.
One more Dear Demoted for you both. Hey, Nick and Jack, I listened to T-Boy and damn, you guys are smart and well-read. What do you rely on as your source of information? What should I read or listen to every day to sound smarter at work? Tee up.
Jack
Listen to
and
our
I
show.
obviously.
Tee up. What is
Listen
it?
to our show
Yes.
because we have some advice for people who want to find the right news and information, but we know that your time is limited. Nick and I spend our full day job finding the perfect mix of stories for a 20-minute podcast.
We literally say content is king, but curation is queen, and we are curating it for you.
We have a wildly diverse diet of news and information that we spend hours consuming every day, including on the weekends. We consider it like our personal board of advisors.
Yeah.
We have like an automotive blog sitting at that end of the boardroom. We have a tech podcast right there. Nick has the biography of Enzo Ferrari over there. I listen to a conservative leaning podcast. I listen to a liberal newsletter. We consume so much information from so many different perspectives so that we can figure out what are the 3 stories our audience needs to know and how can we give them that 20-minute news shot that just prepares them perfectly to understand the trends, the exciting stories, and the boring stories that are actually really important that you need to know about.
Wow. So if you want to become an LLM like Nick and Jack
Yeah.
have with consuming every
are
source of
the LLM.
Be your
information.
human AI.
Yeah. If you don't have time to do that, listen to T-Boy,
Yeah.
I think is the answer.
One lesson Jack and I have learned in this daily pursuit of the most interesting business stories in the world is that Jack and I like to say the formula for interesting is bold plus specific. And what we look for when we're going to choose whether or not a story will be one of our 3 for the day, and it's something you can look for in your lives when you're looking for interesting news, is we like to find the bold and specific example. For example, we did a story the other day on how fashion chains are launching coffee shops. So high end or low end, they're launching shops. The data point that led us to that whole story was about Ralph Lauren's Ralph's Coffee and how they were doubling the number of stores and the retention rates were a super high number. We took that hero stat, researched it further, discovered there was a whole story here of Zara launching it, Gucci launching coffee chains, and we turned that into a story for the pod. And Jack and I think that's part of a healthy news diet. If you're not listening to our show, something you can do on your own, which is pursue when you see the one interesting detail or data point, go down that rabbit hole a little more, and you'll find there is usually a bigger, broader story with a bigger, broader takeaway there.
I think something that you both have that's just, I love witnessing firsthand is just such sheer curiosity. That's what made you start this podcast, what made you start your second podcast. Being curious about the world and things and trying to find things that excite you will make your day a little bit more fulfilling, I think.
Totally.
And you're just tastemaker kings.
You really are.
So
Pursuing curiosity is a very proactive move, Natalie. And whether or not you listen to our podcast, we do have advice for how to be well-rounded information-wise. And that is to break your social media silo. Our algorithms have pigeonholed all of us. They have figured out what we like to click on and what we like to view, and then just fed us tons of that same thing. We're all in these information silos based on our algorithms. To break out of that, you need to proactively search for an account that the algorithms are not feeding you to diversify your information diet. So like Nick and I have an automotive blog, an international newspaper, a British economic magazine, of which that is a category of one, by the way. Everyone knows that's The Economist. Yeah. It's a very proactive thing. Like you're going to have a very not homogeneous information diet unless you actively pursue new perspectives.
Matt and I try to read The Economist every Sunday night. And by that, I mean Matt reads it to me because I have zero interest, but it makes me smarter, which is good.
Final question, answer or not. Just says, 2 of my favorite pods, ask T-Boy their favorite stock or ETF.
When Nick and I were in our 20s, we were highly active stock jockeys, let's call it.
Yeah.
We pursued lots of individual stocks because we believed we could outperform the rest of the market. Just like every cocky 20-year-old with a college degree feels.
I mean, it's going to go up, right?
Yeah. It only goes up. That's what I was told.
We're the smartest 2 dudes here. We got this.
Yeah.
Jack, this just came across my desk. If you've got 1 minute, let me tell you about.
We learned in finance class that you can't beat the market and it's futile, but we didn't believe it until we tried it in our 20s and failed.
Yeah.
So honestly, in my 30s, I have stopped trying to beat the market. And my favorite stock is Berkshire Hathaway, which is half private equity firm, half actively managed stock portfolio, led by a 94-year-old investing legend. You can basically, for free, with no management fee, piggyback off the smartest mind in the United States, which is Warren Buffett. And for the last 59 years, his return owning that stock is double as good as the S&P 500. It's not a stock recommendation, but that is where most of my money is.
What's a single share of that now?
They've got the Bs.
Oh, that's right.
The B share is $300 or something.
Okay.
The A share is like $500,000.
$500K for a share. Yeah.
You know, funny detail about Jack's and my investing, which we always kind of shocks people. But Jack and I we invested in a car charging stock during the pandemic when we were bullish in buying electric cars, and we're like, this is going to work. Hasn't gone anywhere. Mm-hmm. Peloton, we were all in on that at a pretty good point during the pandemic. Still holding on, hoping someone will do something with it. But that hasn't done much. Our best performing stock, SPY, the ETF of the S&P 500, the most boring of stocks, has been our best performing stock.
Yeah,
and that's Reddit's favorite stock too. So,
and honestly, the key thing Jack and I do is, people BTD, buy the dip. Jack and I like to say now we BTD, we buy the date. We basically invest on specific dates on a calendar year consistently. So instead of choosing based on what the price is of the stock, because anytime we tried to buy at the bottom, it's kind of gone down further. We just take that variable out of the equation. We don't even think about it. Yep. We just buy on the first of the month kind of a thing. And if you're holding long term, it doesn't really matter where the buy-in price was, because eventually you're hoping it goes up from there. So rather than stressing yourself out about BTD buy the dip, another thing you could do is BTD buy the date and just focus on buying stocks at specific dates.
Yep. Now, I got some recurring buys.
I have a caveat to all this, which is early in your investing career, buy a single stock of a company you friggin' love. And eventually it's hopefully going to go up. And when it does, sell it and then splurge on something for yourself with that gain that you took.
Oh, totally.
Because that's sort of like, you need to to bask in the glory of capitalism by like making a $300 return and just buying that friggin' pair of sneakers.
I think it's how we bought these matching Shinola watches.
there you
Jack
go.
and I like got a nice business dev.
This
Of
is our
course you have
first
matching
capitalist,
watches.
Why wouldn't
like
they?
booty right there.
Yeah.
I love
Man,
it. I love
yeah.
it. Okay, we want to do Promoted or Demoted, our tried and true segment with you two while we have you on. This is just quick answers. Do you like it? Do you not? A lot of these might come from some recent T-Boy episodes.
Promoted, demoted, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Who's your favorite?
Nick, you have a disclosure to make.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, I only wore Ninja Turtle underwear for the first 4 years of my life without fail. And I think that's pretty common from what I understand.
I was a big Ninja Turtle guy too. I don't know if it was 4 years straight, but
So, just because we're on a roll here, let's promote Ninja Turtles. And the reason why is when Jack and I did a story on the Ninja Turtles, it is the first company, the first brand we'd ever heard of that was started as a complete joke. Like the guys who created it just were riffing on a couch and trying to come up with the dumbest idea.
they were
could
stoned
come
as
up
hell.
They were definitely,
Northampton, Massachusetts. They were stoned as hell. And they said, I'm going to make a cartoon about turtles. And then they said, wait, Ninja Turtles. Hang on. Teenage Ninja Turtles. Wait. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Let's name them after Italian Renaissance painter.
They called it the dumbest idea they could think of, and it became $1 billion idea.
And something so dumb like that, you kind of just got to promote it.
That's like Ross writing Sales Are Dope from your...
As stupid as possible.
Office.
Yeah. Just me, but me taking it seriously.
Keep you guys in your next move.
Sadness is the best acronym I've ever come across in
Thank
my
you.
entire life.
It is.
We were so impressed with it. It just works.
It's USA Patriot Act and sadness.
Yeah, please.
Two best acronyms ever.
That's what it's going to take to get it passed. That's what it's going to take.
I have one final one here. As the only non-business school goer of the group, I'll let you three answer. Promoted or demoted, going to business school?
Say promoted. How do
Minimal
Wonderful,
context. You don't
sure.
get to give ton of context here. I'm going to promote it personally.
I'm going to promote it so that Michigan likes me as an alum.
So they invite you back to finally
It's all
speak.
about the network, guys. It's all about the network.
Exactly.
promoted for the sake of the kids who may apply?
Yeah.
Love that. Love that. Well, Nick and Jack, you've been amazing. Thank you for coming on our podcast. Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us.
Absolutely killed it. People are going to be blown away. They actually got smarter for once on a demoted episode.
They did. They're gonna freak out.
We had so much fun, and we had so much fun having you guys on our podcast. But also, one moment, like, can we just pivot the spotlight a little bit to how much we respect you guys in terms of what you bring and create into the world? And there's an example Jack and I were thinking of in particular, which is no one enjoys ads. They are kind of like the bottom of the content totem pole, right? Like that's not the highlight. And yet, you two have managed to turn advertising into a form of content that we look forward to listening to when we listen to every episode of yours. And that is a skill that, like, as peers, we deeply admire about you because it says you're willing to do like the tough things.
Absolutely best in class branded posts. The funniest posts I can remember that you two have done have been paid posts. I'm thinking of
We're beaming.
I know.
when Ross tried to sell Nat some Chomps beef jerkies.
Oh,
yeah.
That was so
I mean,
good.
Ross's Mr. Coffee morning routine was like down with the
I
sickness.
can't believe they approved that.
And then recently, the two coworkers whose entire personality at work is I'm too busy for this. That was Staples, right?
Staples.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do you come up? Do you like write the skip
come in the
first
first?
and
No, I'm
find the
kidding.
advertiser second?
We just think about the insufferable versions of ourselves, which is us,
Yeah.
and
We
go from there.
we go to the negative trope and then we kind of weave it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Like,
think
So
of
to all
we,
the motorheads out there, like, something that we should additionally appreciate about these two as an incredible podcasting pair
You
are
are
that they
so
put the time
sweet.
to something that honestly most podcasters don't care about, and a lot of podcasters try to act like they're reading because they like think they're above the ads.
yes.
And
true.
we don't like that approach, but like you guys do such the opposite of that. So for all the motorheads out there, just another reason to love these two.
Yeah.
Thank you
You two
both
managed to
so
offer
much.
your product for
Wow.
free, monetizing through ads that people don't always like, but you make that entertaining too. So that's really
And on that note,
best in class.
just put in promo code Motorhead.
Yeah.
at
Promo code
checkout for
Demoted at
15%
checkout.
off your
Thank you,
first
guys.
subscription of
Free
AG1.
shipping, guys. Free shipping.
Free shipping
Think
on
about
AG1.
Think about it.
Promo code Promoted.
Where can we find you? We know your podcast. You want to shout out your personal socials?
Where can we pay you guys for what you just said about us?
Yeah, like where can we
Is
like
it
turn
Venmo,
that into a
Cash
social
App?
clip?
Yeah.
Yeah, follow the best one yet. We're also known as TBOY, T-Boy, at T-Boy Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and everywhere on social. The show is The Best One Yet, aka T-Boy. You can find
that's
it.
all you got to follow.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Follow The Best One Yet. You
Every
can
day.
find Nick's and my personal handles from there. But
The quality you
we
guys
pour
put out
our
every day
hearts
is
and
just-
souls.
And it
We pour our
shows.
heart, our soul into our brain, into every episode. Every
And,
week.
and enjoy our new show, The Best Idea Yet, which every week, the most viral products of all time, Jack and I tell you where they really came from. And that one has been a blast. We just did Frappuccino this week, which
My old
is good.
dream. We just probably lost all of our Motorhead listeners because they're now going to just transition to The Best One Yet. But this was great.
It's the right thing to do,
It's
though.
the right thing to do, and we would support it.
Yeah,
So
we would support it.
thank you both, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you.
Yay.
Great job, Jack.
Thank you, Ross.
What an episode.
Yeah.
I feel smarter. I feel kind of ready to take on the day.
I feel elated. I feel uplifted.
I feel like I need to maybe drink a coffee.
Yeah. Their goals. They're aspirational as hell.
Their goals. I love them. Every time I talk with them, I feel better. And I think you can all feel better by listening to their podcast. Truly, I cannot plug it enough.
Yeah.
Sometimes, people do 1.5 speed when they're trying to just like digest things quickly. I do 0.5 speed for them.
Right. Then it sounds like a normal speed.
It sounds like
Yeah.
a normal speaking voice.
But like I said, they waste no words. They say a lot of words. They waste not a single one of them.
Zero.
It's all just so concise, so to the point, and so digestible for a simple mind like myself.
I am a simple-minded
We are
gal.
simple minds here.
Thank you to our first-time listeners.
Yes, if this is the first time you're listening to us, we do have other guests that have previously graced the pod. Simone Stolzoff talking about the good enough job, how your career doesn't have to be the only thing that defines you.
Vivian, too, if you liked some of those finance tips, she is a finance expert. Hers was a great guest episode. And we also do corporate hotline episodes.
Where we get crazy, raunchy corporate stories about the things that happen at the office and the holiday parties, et cetera, et cetera.
Makes you feel a little less bad about blacking out at your company holiday party.
Exactly.
Let's read one shout out, get everyone out of here. This
Yep.
one is submitted by IU5! Congrats, Tommy D and Claire, on your engagement.
Congrats, guys. And shout out to anybody who listens to T-Boy as well as Demoted. You're obviously the cream of the crop, the most educated and also lowbrow in terms of your humor.
All the Yetis and the Motorheads.
Yep.
We hope we can do a meetup one day soon.
Yep.